Hey guys, welcome back to Confusing Bits. I am Corey, and today we're going to do another book review, and it is on Jim Butcher, Full Moon by Jim Butcher. I can say the words right. Too long, didn't read. This is excellent. I don't understand why people say it starts out kind of weak. Maybe it gets amazing later on, but I thoroughly enjoyed the earlier book, and also this is the second book in the series. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. If you want to know more, just stick around. So let's just do a quick blurb. I'm going to try to keep these blurbs a little bit shorter going forward, but I just want to give a little bit more taste what the book is for. It says Dresden Wizard, Harry Dresden Wizard. Business has been slow. Okay, business has been dead, and not even of the undead variety. You would think Chicago would have a little more action for the only professional wizard in the phone book. But lately, Harry Dresden hasn't been able to dredge up any kind of work, magical or mundane. But just when it looks like he can't afford his next meal, a murder comes along that requires his particular brand of supernatural expertise. A brutally mutilated corpse, strange-looking paw prints, a full moon. Take 3 guesses, and the first 2 don't count. So that's your synopsis. We're talking about werewolves. It's great. This is very much kind of like in the kind of like Pulp Fiction variety. I heard it gets a lot more. He really, Jim Butcher really builds out the world in the later series. But these books are very much, you take these as standalone. If you want to start with this book, I think you're just fine starting with this book. There's a little bit of context. You don't have to start with the first book, but I would recommend starting with the first book. But it's fine if you want to read about werewolves and that's the only thing you care about. This is this is great, and it's great the way he brings together. He creates this kind of werewolf lore in the story that doesn't really. I don't think I've ever heard this particular brand of werewolves, because there's like different types of werewolves, and that was kind of neat the way he did that. The story continues to be just a very much a just a. If you're not accustomed to the world, it's very much kind of detective. What's that film noir, like the old detective movies, the gruff hats and the black and white movies, and the little damsel that comes in and tries to get the detective to take on the case and stuff like that. It's very much in that vein, but put in magic as well. So there's that fantasy element. So there's like this kind of, there's the real world. This is like in the real world, supposedly, but there's magic in the world, and most people just don't know about the magic. It's kind of like Harry Potter, where the Muggles don't know anything about magic. It's kind of like that. They don't see it or stuff like. It's kind of like that. But there's like this whole like organization of magical that keeps magic secret. There's all these magical things like werewolves that exist, but they stay hidden and stuff like that. So it's very much this kind of like whole world that he's building in these books, and it's really interesting to see it start coming to life. I got first keyed into the book. If you're not really sure if you want to read the books, I got keyed in from the television series. And if you haven't seen the television series, I recommend you see it. If you like the television series, you definitely should read the books, because the books are very much better. It's not, I don't think in every case where the book is, well, you like the movies, well, the book was better. I don't necessarily always think that. Sometimes they're just different, right? They're doing different things. Like, I love the Lord of the Rings, but I don't think the Lord of the Rings books is better than Lord of the Rings movies, like the original, the 3 Lord of the Rings, or the Peter Jackson ones, the big ones. I think that's a masterpiece. I'm like, that's like, it's its own thing, and then the book is also its own thing. And but it very much, I do think in this case the books are better than the source, because you get each story, each like mystery gets fleshed out so much more in the books. And it's fantastic. It's a fast read. It's like 400 pages. It's a page turner. You're like one page to the next. There's not really any dull points in there. There isn't. I always complain that sometimes books they bring in too many different characters. I didn't feel like there was too many characters brought into this. It was mostly Dresden, and then like maybe half a dozen different characters that you needed to know in a book, and I think that's fine for a book of this size. And some of these characters you already knew from like the previous book. But anyway, I don't want to just like continue to run this one up. I think here's another thing. I saw somewhere is like criticisms about, especially the early parts of these books, about certain things that people didn't like the book. They didn't like that Harry Dresden is portrayed very kind of Pulp Fiction-y, and he's very much a red-blooded straight man. And the descriptions that he has, because you're like in his head in these books, the descriptions you get are from that viewpoint. So I think it rubs somewhat like I think it was Murphy or something wrote that Harry Dresden is a boob man. So if there's a set of boobs, he's going to describe them, right? So it's that's another YouTuber, Murphy. I think I can't remember her name, or the full name, but it's like something Murphy or something other. Anyway, great YouTuber, look her up. But she described it as that, and I'm like, yeah, I get that, but it's also just a kind of like, for me, I wasn't. Obviously, I'm a man, so I have a different perspective, but I didn't see it as off-putting because it's just a quirk of the character. I didn't really put a whole lot of mind. I didn't put a lot of thought into it. Like, that's just something that's just how one of the ways that the character has been described is this way, and I didn't really think too much about it. And another criticism, again, for Murphy, again, a woman, so we'll have some differing opinions, but she also described that a woman used, in the book, she strips down naked to create a distraction. And the criticism here is that that's just, I don't know, a little bit, what do you call it? Not necessarily unrealistic, but it's a little bit much, right? I'm like, it doesn't really, you could have come up with a different way to do the distraction. But, you know, the other argument is, again, Pulp Fiction, it's especially from what I can gather, the early books are very much pulpy. It hasn't built out the world yet. So, like, if you try to buy these books, I always get hardbacks, and I have to get the paperbacks because the hardbacks are not in print anymore because they printed so few of them that and they haven't printed anymore. So you can't get a hardback unless you want to pay $300 or $400 used, like for like the first few books from what I can gather, and I'm not paying that for for a book. But anyway. So it was very much supposed to have been like Harlequin romance kind of throwaway kind of books, it seems like, especially early on. So I get that. Like some things are a little unrealistic, but to be fair, her walking out naked, the character walking out naked, definitely would have provided the distraction that they needed, and it did. And it could have been resolved in a number of different ways. There could be consequences. There could be not consequences. She could have escaped from the people who got distracted to go investigate. The point being is there was no need to go into detail, adding more. To me, there was no need to go into detail. That was definitely a distraction that would have worked. And for me, it did fit with the character. That character would be very comfortable doing that sort of thing, and it would be wouldn't be a big deal. So anyway, take it for what it's worth. I personally wasn't distracted by that. I wasn't all put by it. It was just a small moment in the book, just like, you know, you see these really weird moments in Stephen King books from what I get. It's what, like It and a couple others that have really weird, like sometimes there's just weird stuff in books, and I will defend weird stuff in books. But anyway, I love this book. This was a great book. Definitely continue the series. I would highly recommend the book, especially if you want some a light, fun reading. I don't feel like I wasn't left on a cliffhanger at the end of the book. The story was very self-contained. I didn't feel like I had to know. I didn't have to recall huge details from the previous book. You know, I could have read this mostly just on its own, so that's fine. I just love it. Definitely going to continue it, and looking forward to more. So anyway, that's all we got for today. I don't want to continue running up the timer on this. Anyway, I'll catch you guys. Oh, as you can see here, we got a new shirt. If you haven't been playing along, I do these in batches. And you'll see me wearing the same shirt like over and over. That's because a new set of videos. So we're going to be doing all of these videos on all of these books today. So that was what was up. This was Full Blown by Jim Butcher. Next up will be next week will be Mythos by Stephen Fry. Anyway, I will see you guys then. Toodaloo.